Gorgeous photos are essential for communicating with your customers or audience, but food and product photography is intimidating when you're new to it. In this video, I'm sharing my top 5 tips to create professional quality photos at home with either a phone camera or a DSLR camera. I'm taking you from lighting through composition to shooting the final scene, and you don't need a fancy setup to do it. Hey guys, Mandy of Replica Surfaces here. In this video, I'm showing you how to control shadows, how to recreate styling compositions that look impressive but are crazy easy to assemble, how to create depth in your photos, and more. So let's dive in. No matter what you photograph or what type of light you use, natural or artificial, you're gonna get shadows. Whether your shadows are hard or soft depends largely on 3 things: your light source, diffusion, and whether or not you add a bounce card. Hard light sources create crisp shadows that have an abrupt transition between the shadow and the background. If someone handed you a pencil, you could easily trace its outline. Soft light sources create soft shadows that blend gradually into the background. It would be really hard to decide where to place your pencil. If you want to learn more about light sources and diffusion, check out my natural light video next. I'll put a link in the description. In this video though, I want to focus on how to alter your shadows with a white or a black bounce card, which are also called reflectors. Start by setting up your backdrops next to your light source. This can either be a window or an artificial light like a softbox. If you use Replica surfaces, Replica stands make it ridiculously easy to hold any 2 surfaces in an L shape. Make sure your backdrops are positioned parallel to the window or the light source to get the most even lighting across your scene. Your photos will definitely thank you for that. To soften shadows, use a white bounce card / reflector. Here, I'm leaning the all-white Replica surface against my other surfaces. If you don't have the all-white surface, or if you're using it in your scene, a piece of white poster board or a trifold poster board work perfectly. Trifolds like this one are actually especially great because they stand up on their own. This is the same photo taken without and with a white bounce card. The window is on the right and the bounce card is along the left. You can see that the shadows are more obvious in the photo without a white bounce card and are almost gone in the photo with one. Here's another example without and with a white bounce card. What's happening is that the light is reflected off the bounce card and onto the far side of your scene. This brightens the objects that are furthest from your light source and decreases the shadows. For a more dramatic look, use a black bounce card instead. Rather than reflecting light and brightening the far side of your scene, a black bounce card absorbs the light that hits it and deepens the shadows. If you already own a dark Replica surface like slate or the limited release dark tile and you aren't using it in your scene, they both make great black bounce cards. If you don't, just grab a piece of black poster board or black trifold from a craft store. I'll switch back and forth so you can really see the difference between white and dark bounce cards. We didn't change anything else here, by the way, not the lighting, not the editing, just the color of the bounce card. Next up is the fun part, styling. But before we dive into that, let's just take a quick second and tap the like button. Me and the YouTube algorithm are gonna love you for it. All right, and back to styling. Styling is both the most fun and the most intimidating part of food and product photos, so I want to show you my 2 favorite compositions. They both look super impressive when photographed, but they're unbelievably easy to create yourself. Basically, the best combination ever. The first composition is for eye-level photography, and it works beautifully for both food and product shots. We'll call it the diagonal for now, but you can definitely comment better names below. I'm very willing to hear them. These photos were all created using the diagonal. The key to the diagonal is placing your objects in a diagonal line from front to back, with a tall object in the back corner, your subject in the middle, and a shorter object in the opposite front corner. The diagonal composition looks pretty basic and even weird when you view it from above, but it's full of depth in the final eye-level shot when you shoot with a shallow depth of field. And that's what we're going to talk about in tip 4. Alright, let's build a diagonal using a beauty product. Start by placing 2 backdrops in an L shape. If you use Replica surfaces, Replica stands make this crazy easy and you'll never have to worry about your vertical backdrop falling forward and smashing your scene ever again. Next, place 1 or 2 tall-ish props in the back right or left corner directly in front of your vertical surface. Place your main subject near the center of your horizontal surface, at least 6 inches in front of the vertical backdrop. That 6-inch or more gap is what's going to allow you to blur the background in your final photo. Finally, place a short prop in the opposite front corner so that you've created a diagonal line when you look down on it. And that's it. Here's the final product shot. I promise we didn't adjust anything between those overhead shots and this final photo. For a bit more visual interest, add a towel or a cooling rack under your main subject and build the same diagonal. Of course, you can place the props in any order you want, as long as they create a diagonal line when you're done. And that's seriously all there is to it. The second composition is called The Sea, and it's amazing for flat lay photos of both food and products. The trick here is to arrange all of your props in a crescent shape that leaves the middle area bare. Contrast the sea with this photo. Same props, but no C shape. See how the whole thing feels more haphazard? Your eye doesn't know where to start, let alone where to go after that. The sea works beautifully for product photos too, and it's easy to imagine how you can use it to showcase your own line of beauty products, candles, handmade items, jewelry, and more, whatever it is you create. Here we're using it to feature the art of an incredible artist who I'll link to in the description. If you want to learn how to build a sea composition step by step, check out my photo compositions video next. In it, I walk you through exactly what we change at each point, and I give advice on what props to choose. Okay, so now you've set up your studio and composed a gorgeous scene. Let's get the most out of your shoot. A great way to do this is by mixing and matching different backdrops, like we did here. Here we used the white marble, shiplap, cement, weathered wood, and slate replica surfaces. Mixing and matching different vertical and horizontal backdrops will give you a ton of photo content, all from the same photo shoot, and with no extra effort. Choose backdrops of different colors and intensities that complement your brand aesthetic and that look great together. That way you can create light light, dark dark, and mixed dark-light combinations that lend variety to your product pages and look amazing on your Instagram. Of course, if you use Replica surfaces, Replica stands make quick changes like this ridiculously easy. Now that you've created a gorgeous diagonal for your eye-level photos and chosen your backdrop pairings, you want to take advantage by keeping your subject in focus and blurring everything else, just like in these photos. This blur creates a sense of depth that makes your audience really take notice. The key to creating that gorgeous blur is to shoot with a shallow depth of field. This means that only a narrow, or shallow, strip of your scene will be in focus. On a DSLR camera, widen the aperture by using a low f-stop, like 2.8 or 3.2. Going even lower than that works too, but then your background and foreground will be very blurred. It's up to your eye whether you like that or not. If you do, go for it. If you have an iPhone 7 Plus or newer, you can get a similar blurring effect by using portrait mode. For more on creating depth, including how exactly to use portrait mode on the iPhone, check out my depth perfection video next. I'll link to that below. Okay, so this leads me right into my next tip, and for that, I'll need my phone. If you use a phone camera without a tripod, so you shoot with it in your hands, this is an awesome trick for eye-level shots. Flip your phone and shoot upside down. Since the camera lens is actually at the top of the phone, shooting with your phone upright is going to angle the lens downward, even if you hold the phone straight up and down. You can see from this photo that looking down on your subject isn't always the most flattering, especially when you want your subject to look tall and majestic, so just flip it. Flipping the phone keeps the lens in line with your subject and will give you a true eye-level shot. Plus, if you have one of these knob things, I think this one is from PopSocket, it makes it crazy easy to hold the phone between your middle and your index finger, and then click the shutter button with your thumb. And I have to say a massive thanks to my friend Emily for actually teaching me about this phone flip technique. It has changed my iPhone photo world. And that's that. My 5 favorite photo tips that will take you from lighting through composition to shooting the final scene. The last step to creating truly professional looking photos is to edit them in an app like Lightroom. But that's a topic for another video, which you can find right here. If you'd rather learn more about natural lighting and shadows than editing, I'd watch this one next. And guys, please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. I've got a lot more videos on the way. Thank you so much.